I decided to quit, and then a month later, the pandemic hit. Yes, Karen Chan, KarenChan, and my business is Glue Books. As a lawyer, like especially at a big law firm, you sort of either want to continue down that partner path. You're like, I'm going to make partner, and you do the hustle to get there. Or, you find a different path because it is very intense and it's very demanding. And at the time I had just had my first kid. And so I had known in the back of my head that this lifestyle wasn't for me. I really wanted to be able to dictate my own schedule, stay at home with my kids if I wanted to. And so I kind of knew I wanted to leave and do my own thing. And I've always wanted to start my own business. So yeah, it was a hard decision and I decided to quit. I'm Chinese American and I'm first generation. So I think the whole storyline about embracing your culture and sort of, being proud of it and connecting with your culture through food is something that is very common with a lot of kids who have immigrant parents, especially through their lunches and things that they bring at school. So that's really what inspired it. Initially had this idea and talked to some editors and agents and thought I could go the traditional route, and just realized as I sort of learned about the publishing industry, I just saw how gatekept and hard it was for people who were not already in the industry, but especially authors who have mostly been underrepresented in terms of representation in children's literature. And I thought if I'm doing this, I could offer a platform to other authors who want to get their stories out there that are equally as important. And so that's really what spurred the idea to start Glue Books. I think it's like anyone starting something that they're not familiar with. It's just a whole lot of Googling things, talking to people, you make a lot of mistakes along the way and you learn from your mistakes. So you're like, okay, we're not going to do that again. That was a learning lesson. A lot of meeting the right people at the right time and just people helping me out, which is awesome. And that's why I'm friends with a lot of other small businesses and publishers, only because we really need each other, I think more than we are competition for each other. So we sold directly to customers. So publishing usually has a lot of intermediaries. Most people have a distributor. We now have a distributor, but they're like an exclusive partner that sells your book into all the wholesale channels, libraries, schools, your Barnes & Noble, your indie bookstore. Those people then decide who to, your books to sell to certain sales reps, and from those sales reps, they need to sell it into those account reps. And so there's just so many layers of people who have to say, okay, I like your book. I think there's an audience for it. I'm going to buy 10 of them or whatever before it even gets to a customer. This is a great thing about moms starting businesses. They're usually solving for a problem that they're seeing and they're experiencing. So, I was sort of our typical customer, and then we reached our customers mostly through digital advertising, newsletter, doing events like this, just really trying to get a lot of being in front of people who might be interested in our books. And as that went on and grew, we just got more demand from wholesalers and librarians and stores, and so that kind of became its own beast. And so that's when we brought on a distributor to help us with our business. All kinds of ways. We have a submissions process, so we have a lot of submissions actually, so a lot of people will submit their concept, pitch it to us. We sort of go through the submissions inbox and pick out the ones that we might want to move forward with or not want to move forward with. And then other times there have been authors that we've actually reached out to because they just have a really cool story, and we were like, you should write a kid's book because it's a really interesting, expertise that you have, or a really interesting story that you have, and we sort of approach it that way. So it's been a mixture. When it comes to creativity, you can't really sit down and be like, I'm going to allocate 2 hours to be creative. I feel like a lot of times you can't predetermine that like you can very analytical admin work. You're like, all right, I'm going to sit down and take care of invoices or bills or review contracts. And creativity, I feel like, doesn't just come on demand. I think as someone who has been very corporate my entire life, I had a hard time understanding that sometimes allowing more space and letting go of things actually creates the room to get more ideas and inspiration and creativity going. I probably wouldn't have gone so hard. I've been so hard on myself at the beginning. It was really figuring it out by just trying, failing, trying, and eventually you get somewhere, and you start feeling okay, this doesn't feel as foreign anymore, Read a ton of books and be confident in your voice and your art. It's so hard to do because you second guess everything and you're thinking will anyone like this? I just lean into your own authentic voice. There's someone who will resonate with you. You don't need to appeal to everybody. You just need to appeal to the people who want to hear your story.